Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Richardo Jackson, and thank you again for joining us for another episode of Campbell Talk. Today on the show, we have O'Brien Dennis. He is the author of My Kind of Love, and we are going to be talking with him next. And you will have the opportunity to talk to him about the book, ask questions, get to know him more. But even better, we will learn and talk about some of the challenges around how we want to love, right? Because sometimes we know how we want to be loved, but we don't know how to articulate it. And sometimes if you're not able to tell people how you want to be loved, then that can create conflicts in your relationship. So I'm really excited to have O'Brien Dennis on tonight, and his book was recently released, so it is now available, and we'll be talking with him, and he'll tell you where you can find the book, how you can where you can get the book from, and if you want a signed autographed copy of the book, he'll give you all of that details coming up next. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I don't know. We had a glitch there for a second. I was like, I was like, what? Um, uh, O'Brien, welcome to the show again. You are, uh, what, what's her name? I would say you are a friend to the show, uh, a friend off the show, a friend to the show. Uh,
Both.
we're really glad to have you on today. I know a couple months ago when you were on, we were talking about a different topic. And so if you haven't seen the show before, if you've been catching up, that O'Brien has been on the show um, last year, last December, and we were talking about male sexual assault and how some of that goes unrecognized, and also how sometimes we don't really hear about it because men are afraid to come forward and talk about it. And we talk about some of the dynamics and all of that. And during the show, he said that he was going to be finishing up his book and that it was going to be coming out soon, and all that good stuff. Well, the book is here. So, welcome to the show. Just tell them a little bit again about who you are, your history, and we'll jump right in.
I hate answering that question because there's just so much and so much I don't want to share most times. So my name is O'Brien Dennis. I'm at work still. I'm an author, advocate. I'm a survivor of sexual trauma. Most of my training in the past 20 years has been around male sexual abuse, but I identify as a very proud black gay man. And I was born in Jamaica. And I think it's important that we tell the story and tell our narrative versus having other individuals telling the stories on our behalf. And I struggle a whole lot as a gay Jamaican because too often when you hear about the gay narrative in Jamaica, it's always about the beating, shooting, or killing, or how homophobic Jamaica is. While I will not sit on any platform or try to be naive, ignorant, foolish, or stupid, also in saying that homophobia does not exist in Jamaica, because it does. However, it is not as pervasive as the media and NGOs, for financial reasons, may make argument about Jamaica being as homophobic as it is. I've always made this notion that homophobia is fueled by homosexual men who are in deep denial. In a nutshell, the homophobia isn't coming from the heterosexual community. Homophobia within Jamaican social context is coming from within the Jamaican gay community. And until we own that, accept that for what it is, Larry Kramer, who died recently, he is the godfather of the gay rights movement in the United States. And it is because of Larry Kramer, why is it we have all the rights we have, re HIV, re gay men. Larry Kramer said years ago that change comes first when you have accepted and acknowledged that there is a problem. So I realized as a young Jamaican who's gay, realized that our story isn't being told. And outside of the beating, killing, shooting, and the rampant homophobia, which they tend to only focus on, there are great love stories that come out of Jamaica. And I think it's important, while we should put uh, focus and attention on the negativity that comes from the island, re homosexuality, I think it's important for us to also share the beautiful love story that we have there. And my kind of love is a follow up to book one, which is Love on the Wire. And Love on the Wire is a conversation amongst my friends when I was in my 20s. And my kind of love is a conversation that I, O'Brien, have had with myself, re love what love is. And I think after going through years of failed relationships, I've come to the conclusion that my kind of love isn't someone else's definition of what love is for me. It is my definition of what love is for me. And in order for me to understand what love is, in order for me to give love or to be in love with someone else, the first person I have to be in love with is me. The first person who I have to define and understand wholeheartedly what love is, it's O'Brien. So it's that conversation. I think the book is very interesting, somewhat beyond personal, because the ending of the book mirrors my breakup with my last partner. And I keep saying kudos to him, because if it wasn't for him, I couldn't have been in this place that I'm at, which is joy, happiness, and bliss. I'm not ready for a relationship. I'm not seeing anyone. I don't know if I'm talking to someone, but I'm not seeing anyone. I'm not sure if consistent regular sex means that you're in a relationship or you're dating someone or it equates to a situationship, but I'm not outright with anyone. I'm having great consistent sex with an individual. So I guess I'll leave it just like that.
Hey, listen, we are very we are a very sex positive environment here at Campbell Health Services, and we talk about all types, kinds, all variations, additions, subtractions, and
Yes,
divisions of sex.
yeah, very much so.
So, if we don't talk about it, how are we going to know how to navigate it? And I think sometimes I know, some folks are shy away from having those conversations because of kind of like some of the difficult conversations that need to be had around.
And shame.
Exactly. And so we have an opportunity to basically change that and make it different. And so we have to make it different.
It's,
So
sorry for cut. Yeah, I think most times when we're having those kind of real conversation, there are a subgroup within the population, within the gay community. Sorry for using population, within the gay community, who make it seem as though that we're speaking negatively about a certain way of living. And threesomes are healthy. There's nothing wrong with it, as long as it is done in a confine where those three individuals have all agreed that this is what we're doing. And here what? 42. I remember in my 20s, I used to be more into older men. And those older black men would say, I don't want a relationship. I don't want to date. I just want to fuck. And I'm like, but you're attractive. You look, well, like me, 42, I don't look beat it up. But the older guys I was attracted to then, they were well put together, very educated, had their own apartment, had their own home, had a car, had a good job, had a good saving, traveled. And I always wanted to emulate them. I want to be like them. I always said to myself, why is it you guys just don't want to be in a relationship? No, I'm at a point now where I'm them.
Right.
I'm no male interested in I hate use the word younger because sometimes when you use the word younger, people may think that you're pedophiles. No, I'm in guys who are in their mid 20s, not below 20, in their mid 20s, and I I'm looking for a kind of a relationship, but not the traditional heteronormative relationship, which is mirrored from a man and woman going to church and getting married and all that nice things. But I'm literally looking for a partnership. And most people don't understand the difference between a relationship and a partnership. Because most times people are in a relationship just for the gram, social media, and societal expectation to say, oh, I'm with Tom. You know, we've been together for 8 years. Are you happy though?
Well, hold it
Well, we've
right
been
there.
together for eight
Hold it
years.
right there. Hold it right there, because we have to kind of like dissect this a little bit. So, guys, ladies, gentlemen, um, everyone who's watching, if you have questions, please go ahead and drop them in the comment box, and we will do our best to get them answered on air. If you have questions about relationship, about your kind of love, about any of the themes that we're talking about right now, drop those questions in the comment section, and we'll do our best to get them on air. So, we were just talking about relationship and partnership. So
Yep.
I would love for you to offer up like a definition for our folks who are watching, the definition of partnership versus relationship.
All right. So anybody can be in a relationship. A relationship is two consenting adults coming together, commingling, having good, great, or bad sex, sleeping together, living together in the same apartment unit, in the same bed, in the same house. But being in a relationship doesn't constitute that you're actually happy. No, a partnership for me is getting to a point where you're trying to build something with somebody. You're building a friendship. You're fostering relationship with someone. And a partnership for me is based on trust, honesty, transparency, and vulnerability. No, you can be in a partnership with someone,
Hmm.
and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in love with that person. You can be in a relationship for the show and say that you are in love, but the idea of being in love is more superficial because too often, and I'm only going to give the example of what I've learned and the conversations I've had, is consistent sex means that you're in love with me. So the mere fact that we're having sex 4 or 5 times a week, it means that we're in a healthy, loving relationship. But outside of the sex, you guys don't talk. You share nothing in common other from great sex. And I can say this for myself. I remember being in a relationship with someone where he literally brought nothing to my life but good sex. We had great sexual chemistry. This person had no desire wanting to travel. This person had no desire wanting to own a house. This person had no desire in wanting to stack some money in a bank account so that we can build something together. All they want to do, forgive me for using this crass term, all they want to do is just fuck, 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 and more fuck. Nothing else. But I will say I stayed because it was great, consistent sex. We had sex every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday, and on occasion, if we went on a Saturday, on a Saturday.
Okay.
But that was a relationship. And I felt I was happy. I felt like I was in love because it was consistent sex. Now, as I got into my 40, I think by the time I got into my 40, I was single. I've now forged the idea for myself of what my kind of love is. I'm looking for a partner who wants to grow with me, wants to spend time with me, who not just wants to have sex with me, but want to lay next to me just because they want to be in my presence. Someone with whom I can have conversations with, not just conversations about being gay, but we can literally take up the New York Times and have a conversation about current either US politics or international politics. No, outside of my degree, I'm not saying that I must find a partner who's degree like myself, but I'm looking for someone who has the ambition for wanting to do more than just retail job. I want someone to be in a position where we know for a fact 3 to 4 times a year we're traveling, not just to Atlanta Gay Pride, DC Pride, Miami Pride, because while I'm all for fostering great relationships within the community, going to Pride isn't a vacation, it's a fuck fest. Let's just say it for what it is, right? Because I've been there and we've all done that. Sizzle, love you guys who done Sizzle. But all you do when you go to Sizzle in Miami is you walk up, you spend a whole lot of money, you collect your lube, you collect your condom, you got a bottle of, no, you get a glass of wine or champagne, and they say go fuck and spend your money while you're here for a couple of days. It's not much different from Pride. And then it's the same group of guys who move from one state to the next, and they just keep fuck, fuck, fuck. No, I want more than
And
that now.
I just want to interject here a little bit and say that, I mean, your specific reference is around Pride and some of the Pride venues or events that happen around the state and the country. But let's not just, not you per se, but I want our audience to understand that this is not just something that's just Pride related. You know, heterosexual couples, sexually diverse couples
Yeah.
have their own thing. They swinging, they're this,
Mm-hmm.
they have their own set of circuit parties and their own set of events that they go to. So this is not just, you know, unique to just one group or one segment of our society. It's something that happens across all group, all ages, all sexual identities. So just keep that in mind. Well, not
So
you,
the
audience.
point I need to make is our elders are still failing us. Our elders are not having honest, vulnerable, real conversation with us about what relationships are, what partnerships look like. I think probably when I reached midway in writing Love and Noir, I was in Italy. I there's a park across from the Colosseum in Italy, and I saw an old couple. The woman didn't speak much English, but the guy spoke English. They were, if I remember something right, they were closer to 100 to 100. And I was really intrigued. They were like sitting down on the bench, just laughing, giggling, and here my this black guy sitting down watching these two older white couple. And I was so intrigued. I went over and I was having a conversation with them about love. And I asked them how long they've been together. They've been together for over 80 years. And I was trying to have a conversation with them about what was the main secrets. Why is it they lasted so long? And the guy was saying it's all about trust, honesty, being vulnerable. And I know for a fact personally that being vulnerable in a relationship isn't easy. It's one of the hardest thing to do. But we have to get to that point where we fully understand what vulnerability looks like. How many times have we heard people say that I don't want someone to come in a relationship with any bag or any baggages?
All the time.
We all have bags. Some of us have Prada, Louis Vuitton, and Coach and Fendi, while some have scandal bags. We have to determine what kind of bags we want someone to bring into a relationship with. No, I don't want nobody with no scandal bag or no store bags coming into my life. I'm sorry. I need people who have solid bags that at some point in time in their life They have unpacked those bags. And I'm not trying to dumb down on anybody. And the whole reason for saying this is sometimes within our community, we shy away from talking about mental health. Mental health is as real as the dick you suck. Forgive me for saying that so crass. It is real as the ass that you fuck. It is as real as the ass that you eat. It is a part of who we are. And I know for a fact that my next relationship, if my partner, one, has never ever gone to a therapist or have the desire of wanting to address past trauma, I'm just not interested. Because that bag, you're not going to bring into my relationship for me to help you unpack. Because guess what? I've already unpacked mine. I probably haven't unpacked all of them, but I am not going to unpack any bag that you yourself have not even looked at yet. No. Now, this is me re traumatizing myself for no darn reason at all. And years ago, my best friend had said to me, you know what? It's okay to be single. There's nothing wrong with being single. And never took the advice because I think from my 20s leading up to late 30s, as I leave one man, I went straight into another one. And I've been single for 4 years, and trust me, I'm loving it. I am, and I'm not saying I'm loving it because I'm having great consistent sex. I'm loving it because I've taken the time to figure out who I am, to
So,
learn what love
so,
is.
so would you say that that's an important piece that you can say either contributed to or something that you got from this process was that you learned how to love yourself?
Oh yes, oh very much so. Oh very much so. You see, sometimes we see the trouble coming, but because we want to be in that societal box to say, I'm in a relationship. I remember my ex always saying to me, would it be best for us to just be together for a year and a half versus us being together for 5 years? We're miserable for 5 years, but we're having bliss for a year and a half. Then I didn't understand what he meant. No, I would take that year and a half versus that 5 years because longevity don't mean anything. It just means that we've been together for 5 years, but 5 years doing what? Have you grown? Have you gotten any better with your life or in that relationship, that bond with that person? Just to say, oh, we have gotten that 5 years benchmark, but of that 5 year, you've probably only enjoyed this the company for a year and a half. And no, because I know what it's like to love me. When I see someone come and I see the game, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have an honest conversation. And if you decide to play the game, and it was a pleasure, but nice meeting you, but I gotta go. That's it.
So in essence, it's okay to walk away from relationships that are situations that are toxic before
Oh,
you
fuck
end up
yes.
getting into a toxic
Yes.
relationship.
And hear what? We know when it's about to get toxic. We know when it's also toxic. But you know what? And I'm gonna say this person. I was in several unhealthy relationships. And one of my biggest fear was walking away and the idea that something was wrong with me because I could not be in this relationship for a long period of time.
Okay.
And I was trying to get to that 5 year because within the especially black, brown, gay community, 5 year is like a lifetime. So when you're with someone for 5 years, you're like shit, I've made the ultimate goal because I'm with Johnny for 5 years. But 5 years of what though? 5 years of bullshit. Because and here the struggle too often. One person is growing and evolving in a relationship while the other one is stuck on E. And the other one is stuck on E probably because their own version of what love is, their own version of what being in a relationship is, maybe simply based on what they saw on Pornhub, based on what they saw on BGC, on some gay platform that says, if you're having great consistent sex, this is it. No, let me give a prime example. As black men, when we go to black Twitter, black porn Twitter, and we see these guys having sex, no, I'm gonna just brush the back of my head. If that's the kind of sex I'm going to be having at this grand old youthful age of mine, I'm good. I'm good. Let me put this shit up like I'm a pastor right
Well,
now.
I
I'm
mean, some of those things are just, they're like clips of things that are designed for like that immediate, like that sexual gratification, for people to get their rocks off, kind of thing.
clutch
So,
purse,
yeah,
clutch
but it,
purse. Me and you get that though. Me and you get that. But here what?
but not,
The younger
not
generation don't get it.
representation, yeah, not a representation of what real intimacy looks like,
No,
right?
the younger generation don't get, because guess what? If that is where you're going for your visual idea of what sex is, if you're between 19 to 25 and your idea of great sex is being fucked up by seven guys with 10 or 11-inch dicks, by the time you get into your 30s and you find a very, very attractive young man who fills all the everything on your checklist, but he come with an H in dick, because you've been open up for so many years, you can't stay in that relationship. You know that, right? Because them walls don't stay like no more. The walls are gone. These are conversations that we don't want to have. We're walking away from it. And you know what? There's boy butter. They're using numbing cream. Hey, I will judge nobody for having fun, because trust me, I know what fun looks like.
Right. Your fun is your fun, and
Yes.
no one takes that away from you or will tell you not to. I think, and this is like a really good time to do a plug, right? So whatever, however you have sex, wherever you put the pink parts, please see the number scrolling on the bottom of the screen. Call us about getting your free HIV test. If you are not living in Florida, if you're not living in Palm Beach County, and you want to get tested, you can still reach out to us. We'll help you to find the location that's nearest to you. Most of the time, you can just put it in Google. HIV get tested or free HIV testing, and sites will pop up around the country. So if you need help with finding some place to get tested, you can reach out to us, 561 and we'll help you to get connected to a place for testing. As we were having this conversation as well about different types of sex and kinds of sex, and relating that to how people see love and receive love. And sometimes some people equate sex with love.
Yep.
And so sometimes we have to kind of like dissect that, and kind of like even go deeper than just surface stuff, to just be able to say, okay, fine, how do we now, let's take away all of these things so we can really look at it and call a thing a thing, and so we can be able to say, this is what this is, but this is not what it was meant to be. And just because we're having hot, crazy sex doesn't mean that this is a relationship. And it doesn't mean that, if that's your current situation, it may not be your long-term situation. So I think all in all, through all of this, get tested, ask the questions that are important to you that you need to know, and make sure that you are looking at your relationship. Sometimes you got to step back and just evaluate your relationship to make sure that you're in the right situation that is right for you. No one else can't determine that, but you have to determine that for yourself. So, again, if you're just joining us, we have O'Brien Dennis on the show. He is the author of My Kind of Love. And also, he has several other books. He has a foundation, which is the OB, O,
BDI.
OBDI. I'm like OBB, um, OBDI. So can we, like, while we're on it right now, can you just tell us a little bit about OBDI for the folks who are just joining us?
All right, so OBDI is one of the few black-owned run organization in the U.S. that deals with male victims of sexual trauma. So we offer a free support group that addresses issues dealing with black and brown men who are victims or survivors of male sex abuse. And we've taken a somewhat non traditional approach in allowing the men to run the group. So the group mainly have probably about 10 people, and it runs for 10 weeks. And each individual gets the opportunity to actually run the support group with a whatever topic that they've all agreed on. And it's allowing each individual who've gone through that common trauma of sexual assault to uplift each other and to give each other that self reassurance that you have gone through this, you survived, and because you've gone through it, you survive. I can also. And it also builds a network of brotherhood. We've been around for about 12 years or 13 years, I think. And the pandemic has really, really brought a shift in terms of how we do stuff because most time we're always doing things face to face. Now we're now at a point where we're trying to navigate through technology. But I've written also two books on sexual trauma, and I've written a training manual with Dr. Kim Arrington that deals with identifying the signs of childhood sexual trauma.
So pretty much you're busy.
I don't know what time looks like, but hey,
Um, yeah, and so your latest installment or your latest book is My Kind of Love, and it talks about how you kind of like if you were well, you were mentioning how you have gone through this process of evaluating. So for people who might be at those same crossroads, can we talk a little bit about what that evaluation looked like? Like, what were some of the questions that you asked yourself? Did you spend time alone in the wilderness?
can I give a disclaimer, please, Ricardo? It is not a self help book because it's fiction.
Okay, it is not a self-help book and it's fiction, but what are some of the things that would you recommend to people who um, are staying or probably looking at their relationship right now and saying, okay, fine, I'm in this situation, I'm that situation. What would be something that you would say they need to kind of like consider or maybe try doing in terms of figuring out, is this the right relationship for me, and whether or not, are there tips that they can utilize to have a more successful relationship?
I think the first thing to do is take up paper and a pen and write, draw a line in the middle. Why am I in this? And on one side, you write, why am I in this? On the second side, what am I gaining from being in this relationship? The one that outweighs the most, that is your winner right there. Because if you can't come up with legit reasons of why is it you're here, but yet you're coming up with all the reasons of why is it you're in that relationship and what you're getting from it, there's a problem. It needs to balance it out. Outside of that, take a break.
Mm,
Take the break away from your partner. Self care. No, here's this is one thing I've actually learned in writing this book. I no longer want a relationship where we share the same bed. And a lot of people look at me very, very crazy, like, huh? Yes,
huh?
I
What?
don't want to be in a situation where I share the same bed, the same room with my partner moving forward. I'm gonna just get personal. I shared my bed a couple of nights ago with someone, and this is the consistent person, by the way. And I was having a struggle sleeping because I'm so accustomed to us having that great sex and leaving and not spending time next to each other. And I've become so accustomed in these past 4 years laying in the middle of my bed by myself, just having someone next to me. It made me question if this is what I really want. And I do care about the person. Don't get me wrong, but it was like your foot is over me now, Uh, you're kind of like all over me, and is this what I want? And there's a part of it where it's fear, though. It is fear from my trauma from other relationships and how things pinned out. But it is having real, honest conversation. And also other from talking about what is it you're gaining or why is it you're in it. It's sitting down and having an honest conversation with your partner, and you telling them what honesty looks like for you, what vulnerability looks like for you.
Hmm.
Sometimes we hold things back, not realizing that years down the line, it can fester and it can break the relationship. Example, you're in a relationship and your partner went on a solo trip. And I'm going to just use Jamaica because I'm Jamaican and I'm always in Jamaica. So you're in a relationship and you went to Jamaica and the best sex is in Jamaica, right?
Is that what they say?
Oh, trust me. They say big bamboo Irish mash, right? So you got down to Jamaica and you met somebody just casually and you were just talking as an American, as a tourist, and one thing led to the other. It could be actual penetrative sex, or it could just be a case where you had oral sex, or it could simply be a situation where you both jerk off. And that's it. And for me, jerking off isn't cheating. And forgive me for saying sucking the game, cheating and eating ass isn't cheating. But the actual penetrative part comes with, yeah, smile. The actual penetrative part for me comes with more emotion and more intimacy. So I think then, not no, I'd be my feeling if my partner actually had penetrative sex. But if he came and said to me, babes, I met Johnny and so the fuck of my date the other night. I'm like, all right, Miss, you come them more time, just come them face. All right, you say, babes, boy, I met John and I suck a blood crack a kiss him, man. Hey, all I'm gonna say, was it good? And if it's a case where you say you jerk off, I'm probably gonna ask, so did you guys record it? I don't get offended by that. No, I'm at a point where I'm very, very open and very vocal about the things that
Okay.
I will do on the outside. And hear what? Not because your partner engaged in a sexual act with someone, it doesn't mean that your partner don't love you or isn't still in love with you. It just simply meant in that moment they had an experience, a sexual experience with someone else other from you. And it has nothing at all to do with you. It has everything to do with them because in that moment, that's what they wanted to do. We have to give people that freedom and that space to speak freely about what's going on because it is when you don't foster trust and the space for people to become vulnerable, open, transparent, and honest, then people start to hide. And it is what you do when the person become honest in the relationship. So in the book, let me just go into the book now. There's a section where both couple had a party, left London, went to New York, had a party for Christmas. Guests left. They decided to have sex with two other waiters. And while everything was consensual, one thing broke the deal for everything. One of the waiter was having sex with the other partner, ejaculated in the partner. And oddly enough, it was the demise of the relationship because one partner felt that ejaculating in the partner was the holy grail. It was a straight no no. It's just a no, no, no. You can, let me just say this, you can fuck the man raw, you just can't come inside of him. That's it. And
So basically, what I'm hearing is that different relationships have different rules
yes, sir.
or different agreements. And so I think one of the comments that I've received was I know when you were talking about what was classified, well, that's your view or your way how you kind of like look at sex and kind of like decide what would you consider cheating versus what's not considered cheating.
Mhm.
Because one of the questions that or a comment I should say that I received was, you know, um, oral sex. you know, penetrative sex, um, mutual masturbation, and all of that is considered cheating. So I think it's going to be, you know, cheating, or what the defined rules of your relationships are is defined based on you and that relationship. And so I guess there are different dynamics of different relationships. And so it's important for everyone to kind of like understand um, the dynamics that they have in their relationships. And so here's where I would say sometimes when you date someone new, or you're dating a new person, they might come from relationships where they have some of those dynamics. And so if it's not talked about, if you don't talk about it before you enter a relationship, you could find yourself in a situation where you might say your partner is cheating on you, but that might be very well something that they're accustomed to because that's how they view relationships. So have you found yourself in situations where someone would accuse you of like saying you were cheating?
Well, I don't think anyone could ever accuse me of cheating because I've always made it very, very clear on the get go that guess what? Forgive me for saying this as blunt as I can. I love sucking dick, and it means I love sucking dick. It means that you're not the only dick that I will be sucking. So I made it very, very clear from the get go. And if this is the kind of relationship that you're looking from me, if you're looking for that one man monogamous thing, it's just not gonna work. Oh, but a Brian, no, 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 no. I'm
So
telling
what
you
would
straight up, it's not
so
gonna work.
so what would you so you're not so I guess most people are like either you're monogamous or you're not monogamous, and then there's like there are all these variations of relationships, right? So there's like open relationships, open marriages, closed marriages, all of these different things. So um what would you define yours as?
Fluid.
Fluid. Okay.
Let me ask you a question. You're with your partner for 15 years, and someone suck his dick or he sucked the dick, and you're giving up 15 years because he suck a dick. No, no, I'm just saying though.
No,
You're
I understand that,
away for
but I
15
think some of
years.
that, no, some of
Two
that
words.
I think is this is dependent on the the parameters around your relationship.
Can I say this? This is what I've learned
I
so
know
far.
what you're gonna say, so
This is what I've learned so far. People love to fucking lie to themselves in their fucking relationships. Oh, I don't do this. I don't do that. And I will clutch purse. I hear you, bitch. We don't do nothing because we only fucking missionary position. These are the same people who, you know,
well, missionary position used to be outlawed back in the day too. So you know,
it should be outlawed right now because there's other that we could do other from that laying on top of you. Cause don't do that shit with me. But here what now? You see, have you ever seen those couples where they wear the same top, the same bottom, the same shoe? They go on vacation together and everything is bay, bay, bay. The only bay I know is the Billy Goat when I was in Jamaica. So ain't nobody gonna call me no darn bay. Okay? And the
I am falling out right there.
and they're all the pictures that they're showing on it. I'd really use Facebook for political reasons now, but Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat and the pictures are so well put together. It looks staged. And when the camera is off, they're fighting like two wannabes. They're arguing 24/7s. Furthermore, they're not even fucking. They're not even calling with each other. But whenever they step out in the public realm, it is bay, 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 and they're hugging and they're carrying on and doing all these things because they're living up to societal image of what they feel people are looking for. I've always said to people, do me a favor. You see when you're showing me all that nice stuff through your social media feed,
Correct.
and you're having that fight at home and that breakup, bitch, I need to be front and fucking center in that bullshit right there because you and I both know that you're living that lie. We cannot feed to the younger generation this idea of perfectionism because it doesn't exist. It is not a part of who we are as human beings, though. Why would you want to give someone this image? First of all, you've seen pictures
But
and
I think a lot of that is, and sorry, I'm trying to like look at some additional stuff that is coming in, but I think a lot of that has to do with, kind of like how people are raised and how people are raised to think about relationships, and this idea that, I mean, you know how long it takes for like people to understand what's the word I'm looking for, like just being able to meet in the middle about some things,
compromise.
compromise. And
Okay.
I, like that's a difficult word for a lot of people when they have relationships. And it's not even a matter of like even something that involving like stepping out or cheating or
No.
how you define it or whatever. It's this idea of mine, or this idea of um ownership, I guess, is
I'm happy you said that. A relationship and a partnership isn't about ownership because nobody owns me. I'm sorry. And I should own nobody. You cannot walk and say that you're trying to foster a healthy relationship without trust and honesty. And bear in mind, trust and honesty has nothing to do with the other person. It has everything to do with you, with me, and I. I grew up in a culture where whenever you're in a relationship, the I doesn't exist, the me doesn't exist. It is we, us, and our. I read this book called the Four Agreements, and in the process of reading that book, I realized that literally more than half of what we've been taught as kids growing up is a fucking lie. Okay, we have to define what our happiness looks like. Guess what? There are people in sexless relationships that are way more happier, way more fulfilled than those who are in an actual sexual relationship. And those who are in relationships where they're not having penetrative sex as men, they are ridiculed, they're laughed upon because the idea is if you're not fucking consistently in a gay relationship, it defeats the purpose of being in a relationship because in order for us to be together, the fucking must happen. And hey, I'm not dumbing it. It is now after 7 in New York.
Mhm.
I've been up since after 5 this morning. You think at 42 that I probably won't get home till after. No, I'm leaving here, heading to the gym. So I'm more than likely won't get home till probably after 10, after 11 o'clock. You really think that if I was in a relationship with someone younger, my age or older, you think that mother could even ask me to come give no fucking dick when I go home tonight after having a long fucking day doing this, going to the gym? You must be fucking crazy. A lot of people are trying to live up to these expectations. Yo, I'm tired. Lay your ass next to me and chill. But some of us don't understand, don't know that because the image that has been put on the outside for what love is, what a relationship is fucking. Mark you, I was there. I remember being in my last relationship where I told my partner, if we're not fucking 5 times a week, this shit's not gonna work. And it means if you can't give me ass 5 times a week, I'm telling him I'm stepping out because that's what I want, that's what I need. It was all I knew because the older men who I connected with, the people that were in the circle I was a part of, that is all they taught me. And yet again, every image of relationships on the television screen revolve around sex. And I can honestly say a relationship is way much more than that, honestly. I
Well,
met
part of that is because sex sells, right? And even, I mean, we they use sex now to sell beers and to sell just about everything. So, I think it's one of those things where, it's we live in a world where there are so many things going on, and I think people are trying to keep lids on just their little piece of the world. And it's good to kind of like have conversations, because I mean, all our conversations are not going to be the same.
No.
All of us do not think the same, act the same, believe the same. And so, as people go through life and as people go through life circumstances, their circumstances and situations change. And so sometimes, what you learn when you were in your teens, in your 20s, in your 30s is, it's not what you desire or expect from yourself when you get in your 50s and 60s and so I think it's important that we have those discussions. uh,
Ageism. You know, sex get better as you get older, but the young generation will let you feel as though you only have good sex in the 20s and 30s. And if someone told me, God, that sex would be this good in my 40s, I'm like, I'd rush to 40, honestly. I would rush to it. If someone told me that there was no need for me to masturbate 3 or 5 times a day just because I needed that nut, just for me to know get to be in my 40s and I can hold it back, I can edge for days on end, and at that moment, either by myself or with someone who I choose, decide to ejaculate, it becomes magical. Or someone tells me that it is okay for me to have an orgasm without ejaculating. But when you're not honest, and when no elders don't want to have these real, honest conversations, it's just like when we're teenagers and we're pretending that I don't know about you, but when I was a teenager, I used to pretend I was into girl,
you said
and
you pretended what?
I was into girls,
Oh, okay.
and and I used to pretend I was having a lot of vaginal sex. Poor me, I didn't start having vaginal sex until I was 16 years old. And not until when I got to probably about 19, then I experienced gay sex. But there was always this hype to say that you're having consistent vaginal sex, and most heterosexual teenage boys, that's what they do. And most heterosexual teenage boys will give the illusion that, especially the ones who are jock thick, has this whole macho look, play sports, give the impression that they're getting pussy 24/7, which half the time they're just jerking off. And they
Well,
grow up
yeah, and
thinking
that's
that,
that creates like a lot of pressure within that particular segment of our population.
yep,
And we can see the numbers. Speaking of that segment of the population, like high rates of sexually transmitted diseases and infections, and from their oral and sexual activities. So absolutely, um, get condoms, wrap it up. um,
are you suggesting to have oral sex with a condom?
I said get condoms and wrap it up. We don't tell people what to do. We give people all the options and then they make the choices that are best for them.
Okay.
So, like when we talk about abstinence, we don't talk about abstinence from a religious perspective. We talk about abstinence from a place of self play, self pleasure, but also from a place of saying if you have sex with yourself, you can't really acquire any other sexually transmitted
True.
infections or
And it's very
diseases,
pleasurable also.
and it's pleasurable. And so if you go out, plus also, for sometimes even just waiting until you are mature enough, whether it's mental, educational, physical, emotional, spiritual, financially ready, to deal with the consequences that come along with having sex. And so, I think, at least for us, that's how we talk to our teenager about the type of sex, about sex period, is
Okay.
that we don't say no, you can't have sex. I think we talk about the idea of saying we would love for you to wait until you're 18, or older at least, you know and but we also put some emphasis on when you're emotional, when you're having sex, there's a lot that comes with it: emotion, mental, physical, financial consequences. And so we want to make sure that you think about all those things before you jump into a situation. So there are ways to have healthy conversation. We don't beat people over the head with it. We don't tell them take this way and go with it. We talk to them about making sure that they're doing what's best for them, what's safe for them, and what's going to be beneficial to them. So if you take the information, have those discussions, I guess all of this and everything that we've talked about today is about really how do you have those difficult conversation and how do
Mhm.
you have those challenging conversation. And I think what we've gotten from you is you people need to really sit down and examine their relationship and have those conversations, not only just with themselves but also with their partners, to make sure that they're on the right pages, to make sure that they're both in agreement with the direction of their relationships and how each of them can benefit from those relationships.
And as time goes by, you reassess because, hey, what? I know for a fact the person who I was 5 years ago in my relationship, that's not who I am right now.
Mm,
I'm more into spending quality time with my partner versus having the need or desire to want to fuck every single night. And this has everything to do with maturity. I believe in controlling the narrative in telling my partner, well, the older me, no, sorry, the younger me would say, this is the time you should be back home. These are the friends that you need to have. This is what you need to be doing. No, it's having that compromise. I may not like your friends, but I'm going to respect you because those are your friends. It some means that whenever you're hanging out with those friends, I may more than likely not want to hang with you. And if I choose to hang with you, I may go with my friends and you stay on that side with your friends and I stay on that side with my friends. But it doesn't bring any rift because there has to be mutual respect and understanding amongst each other, no matter what it is. So one thing I need to say before we even get anywhere close to ending is uh, the main character in the book has HIV, and I wanted to have a healthy conversation and to portray a healthy relationship of someone black and gay who actually owns the fact that he has HIV and the conversation that goes on within the community. As much as we have advanced so much in technology when it comes on to HIV prevention, HIV meds, back in the days, people were taking five medication, five pills. Now you can take up to one, and we're
back in
getting
the day they
closer.
were taking 10, 12, 13 pills.
Mhm. And we're getting close to the point now where you possibly can take an injection once per month,
Hmm.
and it is just as a cocktail drug of one, but it's having that conversation of what it is like to have HIV and to be in a healthy relationship because people still have the notion that those people who have contracted the virus that they're overly promiscuous, they are in the sex trade, they're total bums, they're homeless. Trust me, it is so far from that reality and that narrative.
Yeah, the thing is that HIV is not what it used to be back
No.
in the day, and so I think we have to constantly keep providing a lot of education to folks so they understand, what it is and how it's acquired and what they can do to protect themselves and protect their
Mhm.
loved ones, and also how they can continue to have amazing sex, and nothing is wrong with that. We live and we learn and we grow. And I'm looking at the time right now, we're really pushing time. So can you tell us where folks can find your book if they're interested in getting a copy of it?
All right. They can go to Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. I think Apple. I think Apple has it no, and I think for the most part, oddly enough, I think this year in the past couple of months, I have been focusing on giving away books. Can you imagine? And the book came out on my actual birthday, and it was a gift to myself. It was also dedicated to Dexter Pottinger, who is a Jamaican gay activist who got stabbed and killed a few years ago. The book is also dedicated to my ex. It's a thank you note to him for helping me to get here. It is also an open apology letter to simply say, if I knew what I knew, no, life between us possibly could have been better. However, I'm thankful for the opportunity for where I'm at right now. And it's, you see, there's nothing wrong in the relationship not working out. And there's nothing wrong with failure. It's getting to a point where we say, you know what, I was with someone for 5 years, and of those 5 years, this is what I learned. This is what I walked away from, and I'm walking away being much better than how I walked in. And that for me is the essence of a breakup. If you're walking away from it and it was a total waste, then it's a total waste. And if you're in it and realize that you've gained nothing, rather than investing or wasting 2 more years or 3, 4, 5 more years of your life, walk away. There's nothing wrong with being single, man. It is fun. And not because you're single, it doesn't mean that you're going to be fucking every person that comes to your doorstep. It simply means that you're going to be spending more time with you to figure out who you are, what makes you tick, what makes you happy. So when the next person comes along, you can say, nah, I'm good. What you bring to this table, that's not what I'm looking for. And tell yourself that if you wait patiently enough and stop looking, 'cause that's one of the problems that we have too often. We get up every day searching, searching, searching. You know, sometimes when the person just popped up unexpectedly, those are the best kind of relationships when you didn't go looking for it, versus the ones that you're hunting and you're having those long checklists. I don't have a checklist no more. I used to walk away from reverse relationships because I came in from this whole traditional Jamaica macho, masculine machismo bullshit about being total top. I missed out on getting fucked when I was younger. I'm okay with that. I'm open to the idea of being penetrated. No. Then is a whole different conversation. But it takes maturity though. And not just maturity, but having good, open, honest conversation with myself about what love is.
Awesome. So, again, you said your book is available on Amazon and Apple.
Amazon, Apple, Google, Barnes and Nobles. I think all online platforms that people should be able to get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
My Kind of Love, author O'Brien Dennis. Thank you for being on the show. Um, we this was such a lively and vibrant conversation. Um, I like having conversations with you because, like, it's
My mouth, no filter.
we apologize for his mouth, y'all. We apologize for his mouth. I think, like you said, we need to have open, honest, and raw conversation with people, and we need to understand that sometimes not everything is going to come wrapped in the box that you
No.
intended for it to come, or it's going to be presented in a certain kind of way. And so the best thing that you can do is being open, honest, and be very forward with just having those conversations. And like we said, if we've discussed topics on here that are like spinning in your head and you just kind of like want to kind of like talk them through, or you have other questions or stuff like that, feel free to reach out to us, feel free to message us in the conversation. We'll definitely be able to respond to those questions even after the show is aired. And also, um, if you would like to get an HIV test, because personally, I believe getting tested for HIV is a cute first date. So, if you would like to get tested for HIV, I know your HIV status. You can reach us at 561-208-6595. You can also go to our website at www.chs.health, and you will be able to request a test, schedule a test. We also have at-home test kits, so if you would like one, reach out to us and we'll be able to ship one to you, or you can pick it up, or we'll drop it off. There are various options that are available. Thank you again, Dennis, for being on the show.
It's
Really, really.
always a pleasure.
And again, guys, the book is out, My Kind of Love. and it's on Google, Amazon, Apple, all of the platforms that you normally go to access your books. Go on there and check it out. If for some reason you're having a problem finding the book, I would say reach out to us and we'll get you connected. So this way you can get your own copy. And again, can you tell them what your website is?
I don't do the website. Instagram, my kind of love.
Okay, Instagram I kind of love, but then there's
For the
OBDI,
organization, it's obdi.org. Yep.
obdi.org. And so if you are a male who want to access the support group that O'Brien had mentioned, please feel free to reach out. Uh, www.obdi.org for more details and more information. These resources are provided to you, the community, for you to be able to have access to them, for you to be able to see what is available to you and how you can participate or use them or take what you need, kind of. And so that's what you have to do for yourself, is to take what you need, take what you want, and you can leave the rest. And on here, we provide information. We don't discriminate against who get what information, who doesn't. We present information from all different various avenues, and it's important that everyone kind of utilize some of the themes, assess their relationships, and figure out what's right for them. If you feel like you're in an unhealthy relationship and you need to talk it through, we're here to help. And if you feel like you're in a healthy relationship and you still want to talk it through, we're also here to help. So, thank you, Dennis, for being on the show. O'Brien, I keep calling you Dennis. um, and thanks again for joining us. Do you have any final closing words, Dennis?
Uh, Having uncomfortable conversation is very, very healthy. There's nothing wrong with them. And if you choose to not have those uncomfortable conversations, all you're doing is pushing them on the rug and having them fester up. It becomes much harder after years. So man up, put your big panties on, and have those real, honest. No, I'm not even saying with a smile. Put your
No.
big bras on, man. Man up,
Yeah.
woman up, or you know what? Be a bad bitch and have that real conversation. And by having those real conversation, be vulnerable. And if it means at that moment to say, you know what, I've been with you for 10 years, I've known you for 15 years of my life, but this shit ain't working. Say it for what it is. Walking away from a relationship should probably be the most cleansing, freeing thing in your life versus you staying with someone just because the pictures look good on the gram. It don't make no sense. That is not what happiness looks like. Self-love is important. Being in a relationship to be loved by someone and not loving yourself is a wasted relationship. Take the time to figure out who you are. Spend time with you. Know your body. Know what makes you happy. Know what makes you tick. Versus saying, "Oh, I'm with Babe because Babe do everything and Babe know how to hit that spot." No, 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 no. You know how to hit that spot before you allow another person to come and hit that spot for you. But hey, each one teach one. That's all I can say.
And you heard it right here. Having uncomfortable conversations is healthy.
Yep.
Thank you. And on that note, good night.
All right. Bye bye.